Welcome to Truth and Lies Radio, a program dedicated to revealing the truth and exposing the lies about the destruction of your freedom and prosperity and what you can do about it. And now, your host, former Washington right-wing activist, international living, banking and asset protection author and expert, and American patriot in exile, David Finzer. David Finzer.
This is David Finzer broadcasting for the next 2 hours from the Gibraltar of the Balkans, the historic city of Novi Sad along the banks of the beautiful Danube River, here in Serbia on my 5,244th day of voluntary exile across 6 countries in protest from an ever less free America. Today's exciting because this is the last show before we have our studio. So this is the last time I have to tell you. You can send me a Skype text message at Truth and Lies Radio, all one word, or you can email me at david@truthandliesradio.com. 3 days from today, on Monday, our new studio will be operational, and you'll be able to call in toll-free from the U.S. and Canada or Skype from around the world and join the conversation. Also, remember to check out our Facebook and YouTube pages at Truth and Lies Radio Show. According to the big clock on truthandliesradios.com's FATCA/Taxmageddon countdown page, your taxes will skyrocket and your worldwide financial privacy will expire in 129 days, 12 hours, 50 minutes, and 57 seconds. Well, it's nice to start out a Friday with some good news. I know there was bad news in New York this morning. Of course, that's what happens when you let just only criminals and police have guns. Everybody else is talking about it, so I'm not. I'm going to focus on something's good, because the first victim of the NDAA has been vindicated. Brandon Raub has been released. The government had tried to make former Marine Sergeant Brandon Raub disappear. After being handcuffed and carted away from his Virginia home by the FBI, the Secret Service, and the Chesterfield, Virginia police, on August 16th, Brandon was confined in the John Randolph Psychiatric Medical Hospital, where he was given a mental evaluation. On August 20th, he was sentenced to up to 30 more days of further confinement based on the analysis of a single evaluator and ordered by a special judge to a veterans hospital more than 3 hours from his home, far away from his family and his legal team, even though an almost identical facility is only about 8 miles from his house. The FBI, Secret Service, and police admit Raub has committed no crime. They just didn't like his Facebook posts. He called 9/11 an inside job, he accused the Bush family of crimes, and he warned of a coming revolution in America. Raub, based on what he wrote, which I have read extensively, thought he was protecting America's freedoms. He certainly thought so when he served 2 tours of duty in the Middle East. He's learning that America is no longer the land of the free, and that the elites who rule us have no patience for dissent. Speech is supposed to be protected, except when you're yelling fire in a crowded theater. And the speech that's especially supposed to be protected is speech that makes people uncomfortable. Oliver Wendell Holmes said that freedom of speech is especially for those whose speech we find most offensive. He didn't raise a call to sedition. He didn't call for revolution. He didn't call for violence. That didn't matter. He opposed the government. A judge ordered Raub released yesterday. That's the good news. A week after he was dragged from his home. The petition filed by his persecutors, since they clearly weren't prosecutors, was blank. There was no indictment. There were no charges. It didn't list a single allegation against him. The judge, in typical judicial understatement, said that Raub had suffered a deprivation of his liberty by being held without any clear charges against him. But while free speech received a temporary reprieve, Brandon Raub and his family and his friends and everyone who knew him and cared about him lost 7 days of their lives. Now, this is a perfect example of the America in which we live. I was attacked yesterday by Twitter because somebody said I live in fascist Serbia, someone who served in Bosnia, which of course is not the same country as Serbia, 17 years ago. So of course, having served probably as someone who loaded barrels on trucks or something based on his intellect, he was an expert on Serbia. And I said, and I will say it again, I have more real freedom on a day-to-day basis living here in the Republic of Serbia, despite antiquated laws and a not real bright government, than I have in the United States, where there is a sophisticated, virtually omnipresent police state that has the power to snatch people away and declare them mentally incompetent. And this is one way of getting around a judge and a trial by a jury of your peers. And it is a dangerous precedent. They tried it. It didn't work because of the outcry. But I'm sure it's not the only thing that they're going to try. There are going to be other tricks up their sleeve. We'll speak a little bit more about tricks and some of the storms that they can cause when I come back. Well, the Republican coronation of Mitt Romney is having a little bit of scheduling problems. Gee, I feel really badly about that. Republican delegates will begin the roll call vote to officially nominate Snit Romney for president on Monday at the National Convention in Tampa, instead of according to the usual schedule. Republican officials on Thursday said the formal presidential nomination would come days earlier than at previous conventions, in part because of concerns about supporters of Ron Paul. In part, my butt. That's the real reason. They're also saying, and trying to play it, that they're worried about the potential impact of Tropical Storm Isaac on the convention's timing. What crap. The National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration, the Weather Service, shows a 5% chance of tropical storm winds, less than hurricane strength, for the normal convention schedule, and the storm will be well past Tampa by the originally scheduled coronation day. The hurricane they're worried about is a bunch of really ticked off Ron Paul supporters, so they're trying to rush this thing through before Ron Paul's people really have a chance to get in the news. It's just one more dirty trick of a campaign that is filled with dirty tricks. You know, I'm a conservative libertarian, Christian libertarian as I call myself, and I've been attacked constantly because I'm not behind Mitt Romney. I'm not behind Mitt Romney based on something Teddy Roosevelt said. Teddy Roosevelt said, stand by the president, but only as so far as he stands by the country and the Constitution. Mitt Romney stands by neither. He is not a conservative or a libertarian. His history shows that his policies are almost identical to Obama's. I will not lower myself or compromise my principles to support this actor who is going to be crowned Republican nominee when instead he really should be given an award for the best actor during the campaign season, at least thus far. Typically, Republican presidential nominations have been nominated a day ahead of their convention speech, but Romney is slated to speak next Thursday. But that's going to be changed because because of the hurricane threat. The three broadcast television networks are not planning to air Monday night's proceedings, which are usually dull as dirt. and will begin their coverage on Tuesday evening. So this usually impeccably, one thing I've got to give the Republicans, they run a political convention better than anyone. I think they must import the finest people from Broadway because, of course, it's all live TV. So it's like being on the stage. And to them, of course, all the world is a stage. And so it normally is perfectly scripted down to the last second. And between Ron Paul and maybe God sending her Tropical Storm Isaac just to tweak them a little bit, I think this convention might be a little more interesting. There might be some gaffes that could be fun and provide some real fodder for my show next week. So I'm certainly looking forward to having the studio in place for the week that the Republicans have their fun and games and their stupid waste of time national convention in my home area, Tampa Bay. Now, the Republicans aren't the only people I don't like. Everyone knows I really don't like Mr. Obama either. What's interesting is the mainstream media putting their money where their mouth is. And they clearly have. The nation's leading media companies, which remember control almost all of the media except the alternative media like Truth and Lies Radio and a few other people like myself. And they have donated, the mainstream media, much more heavily to Mr. Obama than to Mr. Romney. The companies, most of which are based in New York, were primarily driven by their Hollywood film and television businesses, according to Open Secret's website of the Center for Responsive Politics, a Washington nonprofit research group. News of the donations even managed to make it into the New York Times, the Gray Lady, whose official motto is all the news that's fit to print, but in practice it's usually all the news that fits. The center's numbers represent donations by a company's PAC and any employees who listed that company as their employer. For instance, Rupert Murdoch's News Corporation. These are the guys who own Fox News, supposedly the conservative news network, contributed $58,825 to Obama's campaign and a measly $2,750 to Romney. The company owns Fox News, the Wall Street Journal, another supposedly right-of-center company, the New York Post, another supposedly right-of-center media organ, and 20th Century Fox Studio. That was roughly the same amount of money News Corporation gave Romney's Republican primary competitors, Rick Perry and Ron Paul. So they spread a little bit of money around across the Republicans, less than $10,000 total, and 7 times that for Mr. Obama. In addition, this is the numbers that really count, the News Corporation has donated over $504,000 to individual super PACs and candidates in 2012, according to the CRP's website. 8 of the 10 top recipients of that cash are Democrats, even though Rupert Murdoch's personal contributions usually, but not always, favor Republicans, and that, of course, does not mean conservatives. This election cycle, other media companies have contributed more to Obama, including Time Warner, the owner of CNN and Time Inc., the company which also owns Warner Brothers and HBO, and has contributed $192,000 to Obama, compared with almost $11,000 to Romney. Walt Disney Company, what can be more family-oriented and you know, mom apple pie in America than Walt Disney? At least it was when Walt Disney ran it, which is based in L.A. and which owns ABC and ESPN, donated almost $126,000 to Obama and less than $10,000 to Romney. Meanwhile, Comcast, the Philadelphia-based owner of NBC Universal and one of the biggest spenders on lobbying in Washington, has given over $200,000 to Obama and just over $20,000 to Romney. Methinks I see a pattern here. It is very clear that the mainstream media has bet on Obama, which means now they are going to shape the news to make sure that their bet comes in. But they're not the only ones spending money. People on the good side are spending money as well. The Senate Conservative Fund has endorsed 8 specific conservative candidates to help strip Harry Reid, the most rotten, corrupt Senate Majority Leader since Lyndon Johnson, and fight the left-wing policies that are bankrupting our country. These 8 candidates include Ted Cruz in Texas, Josh Mandel in Ohio, Richard Murdoch, who managed a great upset in Indiana when he threw out Dick Lugar, who was a lukewarm Republican all along, Jeff Flake in Arizona, Deb Fischer in Nebraska, George Allen, former governor of Virginia, Tom Smith in Pennsylvania, and Dan Bongino in Maryland. These candidates are unique in that they really have conservative records. They've really earned the support of the grassroots in their states, and they have the courage to stand up for traditional conservative values if it means even going against their own party's leadership. We need principled conservatives and principled libertarians, not go-along, get-along schmucks who will do whatever the party leadership says, which, for a perfect example of which is how everybody is lining up on the Republican side to distance themselves from Todd Akin, even though he spoke no wrong, because the party told them to. All of these candidates are committed to cutting spending to balance the budget ASAP, completely repealing Obamacare, securing the borders and opposing the amnesty, stopping all corporate bailouts, banning earmarks where you can say you can only use the money for this and this and this, establishing term limits so we don't have professional politicians who stay in office forever, strictly defending the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms, and protecting human life. Now, these are candidates that conservatives and libertarians ought to look at and support. The hell with the people that the official GOP is backing, because they're people who are going to do what the GOP says. I suggest strongly that you look at the Senate Conservative Fund's candidates, and if you haven't made your donation to them, donate to get some people in there that will help change America. Now, when we come back, we'll talk about just how much America is going to change with Tax-Mageddon and Obamacare. Well, thanks to the Heritage Foundation's report on Tax-Mageddon, taxpayers are becoming increasingly aware of the $500 billion of new taxes the government is going to start taking out of the economy next year. But what you might not know is exactly how devious, how sneaky some of those taxes are, because they're buried really deeply in the middle of the Obamacare monstrosity. This is typical of what goes on in Congress. They attach these riders where they stick things into a bill that might be generally popular, that one that's certainly has a lot of momentum, that have nothing to do with the bill, but that nevertheless have the full effect of law. And so the ridiculously known Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, and remember, the people who first introduced the bills get to name them. So I am sure that if Hitler were to have passed a law exterminating the bills, it would have had some nice title like the clean up Germany's natural resources bill or something. And then, this is the way the game's played. In fact, calling it the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act is really Orwellian, because patients won't be protected, and medical care will become even less affordable than it is now. And more importantly, perhaps, taxpayers are going to pay a lot more. Tax-Mageddon's total dig into our pockets will be drawn from the taxpayer using several different means. Each one is going to be just one more more cut. It's like death of 1,000 cuts that's going to drain out of the economy. First, you've got the expiration of the so-called Bush tax cuts, which have been extended till after the election, December 31, 2012, because, of course, if they hit before the election, Obama wouldn't have a chance of getting reelected. They'll draw $165 billion out of the economy. Then there's a renewal of the regular payroll tax back to 6.2% from the temporary 4.2%, also extended until December, so he doesn't lose the election. That pulls another $125 billion out of the economy. The expiration of the alternative minimum tax patch, designed to protect middle-class taxpayers from this wealthy-only tax. Tax the rich, tax the rich. Tax the successful. Tax will now apply to them as well, the middle class as well, and that's going to dig into their pockets and cut out another $119 billion from the economy. The expiration of numerous other tax cuts, tax cut extenders, and the reimposition of the death tax, inheritance tax, and the elimination of 100% expensing for business investment. In other words, you can expense out 100% of what you invest for your business, will hit the economy, hit small and medium-sized businesses especially, for an additional $51 billion. Plus, there's an imposition of 5 of the 13 new taxes imposed by Obamacare, effective January 1, Happy New Year, which will be responsible for the balance. The grand total is almost $500 billion, or 4% of the gross domestic product of the country, will be taken from private enterprise, private individuals, and transferred to this federal government, who, of course, we know can spend our money better than we can. They proved it over and over with everything from $200 toilet seats up. 2 of those 5 Obamacare taxes are especially heavy. The increase in the hospital insurance portion of the payroll tax that employers are required to send to the Internal Revenue Service, and the application of that increase not only to wages but to investment income as well. As Curtis DeBay at Heritage explains, quote, the HI portion of the payroll tax raises the current rate applied to workers' wages and salaries from 1.45% to 2.35% for incomes over $200,000 a year, or $250,000 a year for married filers jointly. You know, in America today, that does not make you rich. That's middle class. This brings the total of the hospital insurance tax on wages and salaries to 3.8% for incomes over $200,000 when you include the 1.5% portion of the tax paid by employers on their workers' behalf. The company doesn't pay that. They figure that as part of your compensation. When I figure out the compensation of my employees here and in our other offices for Capital Conservator around the world, we figure the total cost of the employee, including all their benefits packages, all the taxes we pay on them, Social Security, etc., and that's what we consider to be their real income, and that's what every business does. But that ain't all. That 3.8% tax will now also apply to investment income. That's right, money you've already paid taxes on, and then it choose to invest to grow your wealth, to grow the economy, such as capital gains, dividends, rents, and royalties. They're going to get that 3.8% tax added onto them as well. This is the first time in history in the United States that a payroll tax is being extended to apply outside of wages and salaries, and according to Mr. Dubai of Heritage, breaks another long-held precedent that the revenue that payroll tax raise goes only to programs that Congress created the tax to fund. You think that's all? Nope, it gets worse. After the first of the year, dividends, in other words, you've invested in a company, it's paying you some money back, will be treated as ordinary income and taxed as such. That means that dividends will be taxed after adding the new 3.8% tax at 43.4%. Now, this is money that you've earned the money, paid taxes on once, invested, and now you're getting a return on your investment, and you're getting taxed on it again at a rate of 43.4%. And of course, the government uses our money so well. This is going to further slow down the economy, reduce the net take-home pay of individuals, especially those relying on dividends to supplement their retirement and Social Security benefits, hurt small businesses the most, and reduce any incentive their owners might have to expanding and hiring. With more of the owners and therefore the business's income taken by higher taxes, the owner will have fewer resources to invest back in the business. You know, it's too bad about what happened in New York, but there's another story with fewer people involved that I think indicates the importance of an armed citizenry. A masked man attempted to rob a Dairy Queen in Las Vegas armed with a samurai sword. That's right, a samurai sword, a ninja sword right out of the movies. And it was shot in the chest and killed, according to the Las Vegas Metro Police. The Second Amendment allowed an innocent man to walk away unharmed, while the criminal was carried away in a body bag, and rightly so, because he was attempting to rob the Dairy Queen and was wielding a deadly weapon, a sword. I guess perhaps the most amusing part about this report is that the robber apparently figured he was armed well enough to get away with it. It turns out that even if you bring a sword to a gunfight, you'll still lose to a concealed carry permit holder. I can't help but recall Sean Connery in the movie The Untouchables when he said, just like a jerk to bring a knife to a gunfight, as he shot one of the mafia. Police say the shooting appears to have been in self-defense. No charges have been filed against the clerk. And I doubt ever will be, because I don't think a Las Vegas jury would even consider it. I think that's justice. That's instant justice. It saves the taxpayers the time of a trial, the time and cost of a trial, the cost of incarcerating this sword-wielding maniac. It saved the life of an innocent person. We don't know how many other people this crazy guy might have gone on a rampage with his sword. Yet justice was clear, it was concise, it was immediate, and it cost just the cost of two 9mm shells. That's all it cost. That is freedom. That's what freedom's about. Because the guy in the Dairy Queen only had seconds to save himself. It would have taken the police minutes to get there. And if he had not had his gun, he would have been robbed and maybe killed. This way, neither happened, and the only person who died is the one who deserved to, the criminal with the sword. And I applaud the Dairy Queen employee who did it. Now, talking about applause, there's a girl who got a lot of applause when she spoke and then got a kick in the butt from her principal. Of all the four-letter words in the English language, the word hell, the place where maybe that guy with the sword is going, and certainly this principle I'm going to talk about in a minute deserves to, is certainly not the worst word in the English language. You know, that can be said on any radio or TV show. It's not banned. But that one word in her valedictory speech has cost Caitlin Newtbar the ability to receive her high school diploma. Yep. Using the word hell. The Prague High School principal, a world-class jerk, he has a black belt in being an ass, is withholding her diploma. Now, he's a government employee. He's paid for by the county school district until Caitlin officially writes a letter of apology. Now, that's a demand her father says is illegal. And KDFOR-TV out of Oklahoma reports the following. He said in a written script she gave to the school that she wrote, "Heck, But in the moment, she just said hell instead. It was an off-the-cuff remark. The audience laughed, and she finished her speech to warm applause and didn't know there was a problem. That was until she went to pick up her real diploma this week. Quote, we went to the office and asked for the diploma, and the principal said, your diploma is right here, but you're not getting it. Close the door. We have a problem. The story goes on to explain that the principal refused to hand over the diploma until Caitlin apologized. To whom? That's a great question, because it seems the only person who was offended was, well, the superintendent, the principal, Dr. Rick Martin. So KDFOR attempted to get the public school's explanation. This isn't a private school. This is a public school. They are, after all, a government service and should have to answer to the people. You know what the reply was? Dr. Rick Martin said in a statement, quote, this matter is confidential and we cannot publicly say anything about it. Now, I got to stop and say the principal gets a C in English. The proper way to have made that statement is, quote, this matter is confidential, comma, and we cannot say anything about it publicly, end of quote. That's what he should have said if he spoke proper English. Leaving out the comma is completely egregious, and one should not split the verb and the adverb. That's assuming he even knows how to distinguish between verbs and adverbs. But he probably got his doctorate in education, which means he doesn't have to know how to speak English or write English properly. Now, let's recap it. The superintendent simply insisted on withholding the diploma of a girl who worked hard for 4 years to maintain a 4.0 average the entire way through high school over a single word that isn't even screened out of PG-rated movies. His reasoning is, well, it's none of our business. It would seem to me that this superintendent perceives himself to be more important than he actually is, or perhaps this guy who, if you see his picture, looks like he could have played in the movies as a guard at the Auschwitz death camp. That's what he reminds me of. He resented the fact that Caitlin is smarter than he is, and undoubtedly the English in her valedictory was better than his English. This is an example of a petty tyrant that is paid for with taxpayer dollars. This shows just how entirely corrupt the American governmental system has become at every level. When American public schools were first created under the Northwest Ordinance, where a section was set aside in every county, the taxes of which were to support public schools, you had real public schools, where the parents elected the teacher, chose the teacher, set the curriculum, hired the principal if the school was big enough, and controlled what their children was taught because they were paying for it. It was their children. But in most states, there's a law that says the school is in loco parentis, temporary parent of the child while they're at school. And these government schools teach the children what they want them to be taught and has almost absolute power over them, and very few people can fight back. I had a similar incident happen to me in 1970. I was a virtually straight A student throughout high school, but I was from a poor family. And so when it came time in my sophomore year where I should have been elected to Honor Society, I was blackballed. Because Honor Society in my high school, Venice High School back in those days, was only for the children of the doctors and the teachers and the attorneys, and I was poor and I didn't belong in it. So I was blackballed. And I said, fine, screw all of you. The day will come when you will want me, and then I'll tell you to go to hell. Well, it came 3 years later. It was the last semester of my high school year, and I had the highest SATs in the state of Florida that year and the highest Florida 12th grade test scores in the state of Florida that year. And the word came down from the superintendent of public schools, why isn't Finzer an honor society? So they were forced to bring me into Honor Society, or so they thought. And they tried to induct me into Honor Society. I remember the call came over the loudspeaker to go to the library for Honor Society meeting in Honors Calculus. Every other name was called in the room, including mine. I refused to go. The teacher says, well, you have to go. You have to join Honor Society. And I told my teacher, no, ma'am, I don't. This is a free society. I refuse to go. So I was sent to the dean's office. The dean threatened to suspend me for refusing to join Honor Society. And I told him to go to hell, that I would not join the Honor Society, that was still a free country. And then we talked for a while, and so I said, can I use your phone? And he said, yes, you're going to call your parents? I said, no, I'm going to call my attorney. I'm going to sue you for violating my civil rights. So he took the phone away from me and sort of agreed that I didn't have to join the Honor Society. But they badgered me and badgered me. For the next day, I was called in front of every class in the school, and I was publicly reprimanded by the teachers, by each teacher, for refusing to join the Honor Society. In the end, they diddled the way the valedictorian and salutatorian was calculated. For the first time ever in our history of our school, they counted phys ed grades, and so I was pushed down to third place, and that's how they got even with me. But I graduated proudly, not being part of the Honor Society, and was sort of a hero among the poor kids and the people who'd been abused by the system. Now, we're at the end of the top of the hour. When we come back, it'll be Freaky Friday, and we'll be talking about the Oxford Dictionary, dumbing down the English language, and some funny things that Obama and his people are trying to sell other than his usual policies. This is David Finzer broadcasting for the second hour from the Gibraltar of the Balkans, the historic city of Novi Sad along the banks of the beautiful Danube River here in Serbia, on my 5,244th day of voluntary exile across 6 countries in protest from an ever less free America. I'm excited because this is the last day where I have to say that you can send me a Skype text message at Truth and Lies Radio, or email me at david@truthandliesradio.com to participate, because 3 days from today, our new studio will be finished, and you'll be able to call in toll-free from the U.S. and Canada, or Skype from around the world, and join the conversation, or even start a fight if you'd like. Also, don't forget to check out our Facebook and YouTube pages at Truth and Lies Radio Show. Well, today is Freaky Friday, my favorite day of the week, and this is when we discuss Finzer's generation chasm, and my illustrious co-hosts try to bring me up to speed on what's going on in the younger generation's world. But I'm joined by the titans of talk, Scott Chambers and Tim Sutton of the Scott and Tim Show, which goes on overnight starting Monday. And also my European co-host, Ollie Neville, who's joining us from the United Kingdom. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
How are we doing?
Fantastic.
Yeah, very well.
Good. One thing the producer said here is it's really easy to know which picture to put up because none of your voices sound alike. So we've got
the good-looking one.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, very good. No comment. No comment. Oh, yeah, my producer really likes you, Scott. Anyway.
Well, that's lucky, no one else does.
Yeah, compared to the rest of us that look like asses, he probably is the best.
Well, you know, you two...
That's not saying much.
You and Scott sent me the pictures I used. Ollie, I had to search and search and search to find a picture that was respectable.
I didn't quite get one, but, you know, close enough.
Yeah, it was pretty close. Anyway, I think the editors of the esteemed Oxford Dictionary of the English Language have lost their minds. You'll probably want to open that link for definitions in this article, but I'll try to use... We're going to use the 35 new words that they have added to the latest edition of the Oxford Dictionary. And we're going to take them a little bit at a time and see if my esteemed co-hosts can explain them to me because they all seem like complete gobbledygook to me. The first word is used in the language, or used within the phrase, to do it without turning 7 shades of locavore vomit. Does somebody want to take that one?
I'm puzzled.
Who knows? Ollie, do you know?
Isn't it something to do with local food?
I don't know. If I knew, I wouldn't have you guys on here. I don't understand this stuff.
Yeah, I
Well,
think
you know, the big Hispanic influx into the United States at this point, they're probably coming up with new words every day that would match the Hispanic vibe of those words. So, loco vomit of some sort would have to go along those lines.
Locavore.
Yeah,
I can't even say.
Throwing up on a train or something.
Okay. You see, well, you know, I'm pretty good at speaking Spanglish. As you guys know, my friend who's been on your show, Scott and Tim, Ariel Porchera, is from Argentina, and some of the words he comes up with are sort of interesting. So I don't recognize it as Spanglish. Okay, so we've got one word we don't even know, right? Okay, let's go on to the next one. Check that. Frankenfood vomit. That sounds nastier. What's that?
Okay, I think
I can't hear whoever's trying to talk.
German food? No, that's the French food?
No, it's got to be something to do with...
You guys are way low.
think, guys, Frankenstein is green. So are we talking about green projectile vomiting? Maybe?
I don't know.
Could be food that was compiled by lots of other dead food put together, you know, bits and pieces. That sounds plausible. Can you make that sort of food? Sounds like something I ate at the local restaurant recently. I wasn't too well off of that.
I don't know, Scott and Tim, your volume is very low. Our economics co-host who's listening has sent me a Skype message which says a locavore or localvore is someone who is committed to eating food that is grown or produced within their local community or region. I guess that's the advantage of him having 4 children, 2 of whom are teenagers. Frankenfood is genetically modified food. I guess that sort of makes sense. See,
I can see that.
Okay, I tried to get Mike to come on, but he doesn't want to come on personally, but he's going to annoy me by keeping on sending these text messages. But that's okay. We're happy to have someone who knows about it. But I'm
You actually purchase the...
Yeah, I don't know. You guys have let me down this first segment, I'll tell you. When we come back, we're going to take some words from the first season of Californication. So I think you should know about that. This is David Fincher for Truth and Lies Radio. Stay tuned. Well, we're back on Freaky Friday, and it looks like the Internet's being a little freaky on us, but we're going to carry through. And we talked about Frankenfood. I think we're having a Frankenstein moment with Skype. But nevertheless, I think have everybody back on. We have Scott Chambers, Tim Sutton, and Holly Neville, who are going... The next subject I think they all know about, so Mike Gard won't have to explain to us. This is another paragraph written to use a bunch of these stupid words. In the first season of Californication, fictitious literary train wreck Hank Moody waxed with drool-worthy syntax about screenagers creating a text-speak full of OMGs and LMFAOs while sexting several noobs that will most likely unfriend each other the moment one sees a muffin top peek over the jeggings of the other. Now, I know OMG, LMFAO, and unfriend.
Well, hang on. Let me go ahead. I'll cover Muffin Top.
Okay.
That's that unsightly sight when you wear pants that are too tight and the top of your belly creates a muffin top type section.
It's not sexy.
In other words, it's a fat roll.
Pretty much, yeah. It's a nice way to say you're fat.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And nowadays, with all these skinny jeans and things that these girls are wearing, muffin top happens a lot.
I see. Okay. So we've
I
got...
assume that drool-worthy is just very simply someone that you would like to drool over, someone who's very attractive and makes you drool because you're staring at their physical appearance. I assume that's you're worthy of drooling over.
So that means that means the hot dogs I feed my dog Archon, my dogs after lunch and dinner, they're drool worthy.
Absolutely, they're drool worthy.
Okay, good. Screenagers.
Those are, I know this one, those are children that have been brought up in front of screens as opposed to by their parents, so they just dump them in front of a TV or a laptop, and they have unhealthy views about body image because of the images that have been presented to them by TV models and stuff. That's a screenager.
Okay. Any comments from Alabama about that?
I think he hit it dead on. Video game, movie, cinemas, things of that nature. That's what the teens that are brought up today that were raised by electronic devices. I could go along with that.
Well, Ollie is full of strange ideas, but when he gives something as a fact, I will make book on it. So I got to give him that. Okay, text speak.
Oh God.
Yeah, that's
LOL. LOL.
Okay, laugh out loud.
It's when people just really speak in text. Like if I'm going to send a message, or David, if you text message me and something is funny, I respond LOL or LMFAO.
Yeah.
Right.
Or OMG, what WTF is going on with this show today? I'm currently LAFMO.
Right.
Yeah,
Or, gee, it's so hot right now. That's when people talk in the text speak, and it's annoying.
More than back in the day. They got those special typewriters, like back in the courtroom, those shorthand typewriters.
Right.
That's basically what this worked out of. It's shorthand, all it is. If you actually, every letter of the word stands for another word, so I guess it would be an acronym.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Well,
I remember.
Go ahead, Ollie.
When I was at school, that only the very nerdy clique would say lol. When something was funny, they'd giggle and say lol, and you'd sort of look at them like, "Why are you saying lol? Just laugh."
And
by the end of the time when I left sixth form and went to university, people that you would consider fairly cool, quite normal people, were saying lol. Just as a standard thing. So it sort of slowly crept into the language, and now text speak is quite a normal thing to do.
Now, Ollie, is that normal people, as normal people would define it, or normal people as you'd define it?
Well, no, definitely normal people as normal people would define it.
Okay, just checking.
I just want to add this in real quick, though, Finzer, is the fact that here in the States, we never say lol. Have you ever said lol, Scott?
No.
Always you say the letters. LOL. Like if you're in the middle of a sentence, you say LOL. I'm sorry, I'm not into that stream where you would say Rolf or Lamafo.
Yeah, if you look at me and you go, it's hot, I'm going to say you're a dumbass.
Or woofed.
I don't know if you guys have noticed, but when I email you or text you, I use I use apostrophes and proper English and everything else. I do that all the time. I can't force myself. The most I can do is
make us look stupid. I understand that.
No, it's so strange to me. The only things I use are TY for thank you and YW for you're welcome, and that's it.
Yeah, I was
obviously back in Finz's day. They really taught you how to use your proper grammar. Otherwise, you were thrown out of the cave, and the woolly mammoth would just completely rip you to shreds.
Exactly.
So,
Well, I was talking to an English professor who actually has a doctorate in education, and she was talking about this. Nowadays, people type in 140 characters or less on Twitter so much. People text message. She says, Scott, I find myself doing it. I quit using proper grammar in emails because so much of the modern world, people leave it out. And I know I'm damn guilty of it. Even as a former news writer, I'm horribly guilty. Even in my script on the teleprompter at the TV station, I typed it out for myself because I'm reading it. I mean, we're all guilty of it. Well, David's not because he's so proper. But I think most of the world is guilty of it.
David, back in his time, would have a hook on this because, with a chisel and a hammer, it would have been hard to get all the letters in. This would have been easier for you back in the day, David.
Yeah,
I mean, think how it takes
any response I would make, I shan't make on radio. I'll speak to you about that comment later.
Well, I know that Twitter's certainly destroyed my grammar so bad that
You mean badly?
I've created a whole philosophy of anarcho-punctuationalism to counter it. You say I have bad grammar. I say that your grammar is incorrect and that all grammar is subjective.
Well, I would say this. Ollie's voice. Yeah, touche. Oh, did Tim just say touche? Oh, my God. Oh, my God. No, but with Ollie's accent, it makes everything forgivable. All the women in this country, I mean, you can speak like a complete moron, and with that accent, it wouldn't matter because you can get away with it. You sound so proper.
Now, I did one time, I wanted to bring this up real quick. I did at one time speak with another Englishman that was from a different part. I think he's from the Wales area, and he actually talks with a different accent, and the people from the city say that he's hillbilly or country folk.
Tim, I hate to bring this up to you, but if he's from Wales, he's not an Englishman, he's a Welshman.
It's all one damn island. I mean, come on.
Okay, so that means it's okay to call you from Mississippi?
No, that's fine with me. I'm still a United States.
A United Statesian?
United Statesian. Just thought I'd throw that in. United States.
You know, they actually, in Spanish, they have a word for that because they don't like to call us Americans because they say we're Americans too. So they've come up with this new BS word called estadounidense, which means United Statesian. So I guess you'd be happy with that, Tim.
Yes, that's right.
I just tell people Tim's accent is Cornish.
Yeah. But anyway,
No, it's corny. It's not Cornish. It's corny.
I knew Ollie would get that.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm afraid to go to this next word, but we've got to. Sexting.
That is when you send explicit messages or pictures via text message to someone else.
That's correct.
Oh, well, that wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Okay. Okay, how about sexual noobs?
I'm very familiar with that term.
People, virgins, sexual noobs would be virgins because newbie.
You at something.
Yes, noob is newbie.
Yeah, they've just now experienced sex for the first time.
Exactly. So I guess it would be virgins basically that have broken the seal.
Okay, the first time I ever hear any of you refer to the Mother of God as the Blessed Noob Mary, you're off my show forever. Okay, just remember that. Okay, we're down to jeggings.
You got me on this one.
Last night I was sending a photo of my jeggings to my girlfriend.
What are jeggings? Who's got this one?
I don't know.
Jeggings are, like leggings that women wear.
Okay.
They are jeans.
Hang on a minute. My wife is running up the hall to let us know. What the heck is jeggings?
I think she knows.
A mixture of jeans and leggings.
Jeans leggings. That's right. Like pajama jeans. That's what the fat black women wear.
But you just said your wife wears them. I just said it right in the studio.
I did not say she wears them. I said she rans up. But that's the one you see. All the fat black women wear.
They do, right?
They're like blue jeans, but they're pajama blue jeans and like they're leggings.
Like the women at dinner with us last night. Yes, they were wearing
those
them.
were jeggings. Yes.
Yes.
Maybe we ought to invite Heather on and just push Tim off. She probably knows about whales. Anyway, we've got a break again for a commercial. When we come back, we'll continue with some more of these words. I still don't understand most of them, but that's okay. We'll be back. Well, we're back, and we're still wading through Oxford Dictionary's new stupid words. Try to make me understand them anyway. The next one is hater. Now, that seems sort of obvious to me, but does it mean something other than the obvious?
Nope.
It's pretty close. I just want to let you know, though, David, it means that it's someone that they're jealous of you mostly, and they say things negative about you to try to offend you or to try to knock you off your game or to knock you off your abilities.
Oh,
example: Obama is a hater of Mitt Romney.
Or the guy who tweeted Ollie last night attacking me about living in Serbia, I guess, was sort of a hater.
Yeah, somebody's jealous. There's a jealousy factor there.
Yeah, and that doesn't really go because of the fact that he literally probably does hate.
Well, he does literally hate.
But when you hate on somebody, it means that, like, I would tell you, David, that, well, today you have more gray in your hair, and gray hair makes you look, well, dumber. That would be a hater saying that about you.
See, actually, gray hair let me raise my hourly fees because I look wiser now.
Yeah, that's true. But saying something negative about you that may not be true at all is a hater just because they're jealous of you.
Like my arm bracelet right now that says, damn, I look good. Tim can make fun of it because he's a hater that he doesn't look as good as I do. I guess.
I think we'll skip right to the next word on that one.
I think that would be a good deal.
Which is guy liner. What the hell is a guy liner?
I don't wear that anymore.
Yeah, Scott was the only one that's ever worn that. Ollie maybe when he goes out to the rock bars, but it used to be a big thing in the 80s. 80s rock band with they called it glamour or
glam rock.
Glam rock. Yeah.
Bret Michaels is notorious for bringing guy liner back in the past few years. The lead singer of the band Poison.
But the thing is, now they've started because of the.
So what the hell does it mean?
It's eyeliner. It's eyeliner. Makeup. It's eyeliner. It's just instead of calling it standard eyeliner that women would use, they actually started marketing brands for guys, and they called it guy liner.
Literally, it's like nail polish, which is a male.
Am I going to use that one on Ariel? Anyway, okay.
He probably uses guy liner.
Okay.
And it's okay. It's okay.
The next one, I think I can guess. Chillax.
Yeah, chill out, relax.
Chill out, relax. That's just sort of a contraction then.
But you have to be either 10 years old or super cheese to use chillax.
Okay.
I use chillax all the time.
I just said a lot of
people. There we go again. 12 or, anyway, okay. Ollie, you said it, not me.
Yeah, but see, he knows the difference between Wales and England, so don't be too patronizing. Okay. Tim, you upcycle. Maybe that's something you need to do.
Upcycle? Okay, haters.
I guess that's the opposite of recycling? I don't know.
No, to upcycle something is not to transform it into something, but to reuse it in its same form, but make it useful for another object. I really caught on to this word as my cousin is currently upcycling jars and taking jars that had pickles in them and making them light bulbs in them. Well, moonshine would work, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're all from the South. We all drink, have hillbillies, and play the banjo. That's just part of it.
I like banjos.
Okay, now the next one I think does not apply to most of the members of this group. It's the word illiterati.
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 Is that like a conspiracy of...
Go ahead, Ollie.
Can't write. Like, sort of like, is it a conspiracy, like a mixture of the Illuminati with people who can't spell?
I don't know. I thought it was a play on the word literati, meaning you're illiterate.
Yeah, I guess, but I like the idea that that might contain some sort of conspiracy theory.
Oh, okay.
Gay opera singer.
That's Pavarotti.
No, that's Pavarotti.
The gay opera singer, illiterati. Okay, very good. I see. No, so this would be a gay writer then, because it's literate, so it can't be an opera singer. So okay. How about woot?
Woot?
Woot.
It's like woo, like going woo. When you're happy with something, you go woot woot.
Woo! Woo! That's woot.
That's a woot.
That's a woot.
That's a woot. That was
my producer says no, it's not.
It's not.
Oh.
Okay.
Hi guys, and I think that woot is actually for what?
No.
Like say what?
Okay, I can see where he's good. I think Nicola's got.
No, it's still saying give me props. It's like when you used to, because the biggest time I've ever used woot would be when I'd be playing one of my MMO adventure games. Woot. And when you say woot, that means look at me, I just did something. Give me some props for it. Give me some ups. Woot.
Okay, I guess.
I don't use that.
That's what I used it for.
Okay, the next one seems to be fairly...
For English language that I do.
The next one seems to be reasonably obvious. Whatevs. Like whatevers.
Whatever.
Okay, so that's easy.
We all understand this too easily. This is scary.
Okay, how about crunk?
Oh, let's get crunk.
Get crazy. It's the word crazy and the word drunk, and you smash them together, and it's crunk. When you get crunk, you get crazy drunk.
Okay. You can
And here's what it
without
is.
being drunk, though.
Yeah, well, you get drunk on anything. You can
Right.
get drunk on anything. It's just overindulgence.
Yeah.
If you're crazy, if you're happy, you're drunk on emotion.
Like, I'm crunk on sweet tea right now.
Exactly. Or getting crunk on Mountain Dew. You know.
Okay, so that would be a parallel to a word we can't spell out, we can't mention out, but the word like the word fugly.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good.
Basically.
See, I guess that was obvs.
Yeah.
Woot. Woot.
Okay,
Such noob.
now the next one.
My wife is fugly.
The next one, the Serbian language helps because in Serbian, an R can be a vowel. That's why Serbia is spelled S-R-B-I-J-A. So I guess it's G-R-R-R-L is girl. Is that it?
That one I'm not familiar with. I will be honest. This one I
Spell it
do
again. I'm
not
sorry.
know.
Which one was that one?
Girl, G-R-R-L. They're referring to Ayn Rand, so unless she had a sex change operation I didn't know about, it seemed to apply.
Well, Riot Girl is an underground feminist punk rock movement that started in Washington, D.C.
Oh, okay. Very
I
good.
have no idea.
Okay,
I
well,
think that girl.
girl. Okay, maybe it's a nasty woman. Anyway, we will continue with this. Try to get through these 35, and then we have a few more things to talk about. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Okay, now we're back with the gang, still trying to figure out what the hell these words mean. How about bling? B-I-L-N-G. Anybody?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like nice stuff. Like
It's jewelry. Jewelry. It's bling. It's blingy. It flashes. Light reflects off of it greatly.
Okay.
Bling.
How about an exorbitant? I mean, that's a word that has meaning already. Obviously, there's some new word. Some new meaning for the word. What is it?
I don't know. I'm puzzled.
Someone loses its wings. What? An
Ollie,
exorbitant.
do you know?
no, I'm completely that's gone over my head.
Okay.
Something that soaked stuff up. That's an absorbent. I don't know.
I don't know what that is.
Okay, well, good. Okay, we're now down to mankini.
Yes. Other word. Also known as the banana hammock.
my underwear.
Speedo, the underwear Scott wears on occasion. You know.
How do you know so much about the underwear Scott wears on occasion?
Well, he goes up sometimes without his pants on, but you know, you have to put up with stuff like that.
Fridays in the office get kind of freaky for
Yeah,
sure.
it's casual Friday here, so.
Okay, and you've redefined casual to the point of almost disgusting, huh?
Yeah,
okay.
you know how to get south?
Now here, how about mini-me? Mini-me.
I hide my mini-me in my mankini.
Oh, okay.
That could be called mini-me. I think that one was popular through Austin Powers.
Yeah.
And Dr. Evil had a mini-me.
Oh, all right. Very good.
Or a midget, as I like to call them.
Yeah.
Okay. Popo.
Police.
The Popo.
Police.
I always going right off the bat.
Yes, that is for police, and that was a slang term used by African Americans in the United States.
I'm always running from the popo. So
What, Ollie?
just said I'm always running from the popo, so I know what it means.
Oh, okay. Well, how about truthiness?
What? You got me on that one.
I should assume there is some truthiness to that, or toothiness. No, I have no idea.
You have no idea?
That
Scott?
could be it. I agree with it.
No,
I got some truth,
That's
or
what I'm
the
thinking.
amount of truth that something holds.
Maybe
Yeah.
you think lying to you, but they tell you something. There's a little truthiness to it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they've taken the perfectly good word truthfulness and bastardized it.
Basically, yes.
Okay, how about bromance?
A
When you
bromance.
have a non-sexual romance with another man, and a sort of a platonic relationship between two men when they get really close and they do lots of things together. But it's not in any way homosexual. It's just...
I've been accused by my wife many times that me and Scott have a bromance.
Absolutely.
But there's no bromance here. Maybe on Scott's side more than mine. Because bromance means that you have to want to be like that person or want to be that person. So Scott may bromance myself, but we're not so much into him.
You're just more so my radio husband. There's really no bromance there.
That's true.
Okay, how about Twitterati? Now, this Ollie has got to know because he's the king of tweets for twits.
It's a mixture of I think it's the people of Twitter, the Twitterati, the commentators and the sort of like a paparazzi of Twitter.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. More so like the paparazzi, that they're always in your business. They're sharing your business and their business, but no one really cares.
Yeah, you say
like
something.
Paparazzi.
Right, you say something.
Like the elite of Twitter, like the Twitterati, the top. They're like the Twitterati.
Yeah, that could very well also, I believe, apply to that term. Like President Obama is part of the Twitterati.
Right, I want to ask David.
No, he's more like the Iterati.
Well, that's true too.
I want to ask David, and so if you're on Twitter and you tweet, what is the past tense of tweeting?
No, let's not say that.
No, let's not say that on the air. Okay. Moving on very quickly before Ollie says something for which I'll be sorry. How about Informaniac Muggles?
I know a Muggle is from Harry Potter.
Okay, and an Infomaniac?
Infomaniac, yeah, that's someone that needs information.
I mean, we constantly are all over information and news. I think you're an infomaniac also, David.
Okay.
That's a good thing. You're well informed.
Oh, okay.
But it's all,
It doesn't mean I have a bromance with anyone, just I like information, right?
Sure.
Okay, very good. Okay, so Purple State.
No idea. I think Purple State is what we hope the UK will be when UKIP take over.
Oh, well, okay, that's one of your colors. Very
good.
Of
red states and blue states, I think Purple State would sort of be, wouldn't that go towards the alternative lifestyle kind of type states, maybe? I don't know.
It's a swing state, isn't it? In politics, it's a mixture of the red and the blue. It's not definitely Democrat, not definitely Republican.
Nicola's looked it up. Here.
Okay, guys, the purple state by the Urban Dictionary is a term that is used to describe an even split in a state between Democrat and Republican voters.
Okay, so we guessed right. You all guessed right. Very good.
Yeah.
Okay,
good.
*O. Doe.
Homer Simpson. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's like when you screw up, don't.
Like when I hit my head a lot, I scream, don't!
It's an expression you say to signify that you're disappointed with something that's happened.
Right.
Okay, and the last one of this mess is Whovian.
Whovian?
Whovian. WHOVIAN.
Doctor Who fan.
A Doctor Who fan. Okay, very good. We made it through. Now, we got to move on, and for those who are watching the video cast especially, you'll really need this. I found things that the Obama campaign is selling. Each one of my co-hosts has pictures of these. The first is the Obama spatula. Now, obviously, that's probably could be used to clean up a lot of the mess Obama's leaving, but I can think of some other, perhaps, uses for it. Anybody have any comments on that one?
That's what I would use it for.
Okay.
I think if it spanks his wife, it would kind of impress him, it'd be on his wife's rear end. It would leave a perfect imprint of his, it'd be kind of like tagging.
Okay, well, we're moving on from there. Since you mentioned wives, there's the Obama Quick Cover-Up Kit.
Yes.
And it's this black case with 3 colors of whatever. Red, white, and blue. I don't know.
You can cover up anything with black.
This could be used by Democrats everywhere. The late, great Ted Kennedy could have used a cover-up kit quite frequently.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good point. And then there's the Obama bedroll, which is, I guess, what you need when, because of subprime mortgage lending, you are out of a house and have no place to live in or sleeping in a park.
That's true.
That would work well for it, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
And
then
that's
go
as
ahead.
close as Obama will ever get to my bed.
And if you ever have security guys in Colombia, that'd be perfect. They could use that.
Now,
Secret Service chicks,
now
yeah.
the,
Yeah.
the next one I doubt they're going to sell very much. It's the Obama Jewish T-shirt. Now, considering Obama is never visited Israel, is a Muslim, I figure the proper time to buy these are after the election because he's only going to sell about 6 of them.
I bet you'll get a great discount.
Yeah, undoubtedly. Like, as one of my Jewish friends said, that's why God invented Gentiles. Someone has to pay retail. The next really good one is the closest we're ever going to get to see a physical Obama birth certificate. It's the Obama birth certificate coffee cup with Obama's picture on the front and his fake birth certificate on the back.
That's awesome.
Yeah, well, it's sort of interesting. Then we go into a whole range of glasses. We have 3 sets. We have the Obama middle class martini glasses, the Obama rocks glasses, which is obviously for the elite to pour their expensive Scotch whiskey in. I would rather drink Scotch whiskey from a broken Coke bottle than something with his symbol on. And then my favorite is the Obama wine glasses, especially if you spell wine the way we have on the visual, W-H-I-N-E.
You know, David, I think there's a theme here. The Obamas want to get everyone so drunk you'll forget the horrible job he's done as president.
Well, they're
Yes,
nice
absolutely.
transparent glasses, unlike his administration.
That's right.
Okay, we're down to a minute, guys. Now, there's the Obama soy candle, the only use of which I can think of is to cover up the stench that's coming from the White House.
Good point.
Yes, I'd have to go with that one, definitely.
Then the
They
last
sell Obama canned
Toilet
drink
brushes.
with just "Yes, we can" on it. I think I'd buy that.
That's a good idea.
Actually, I think we could market Obama toilet brushes,
Oh,
Obama
absolutely.
toilet paper, things like that. I think we can make a lot of money off that kind of stuff.
Well, the last 2 are funny. There's the Biden beer cooler and the Biden coffee cup. I think you'd need to drink plenty of beer to understand Biden, and the coffee cup is so you can hide the liquor you put in your coffee so you can understand him.
I like the beer too.
Anyway, that's the end of the show. I'll see you all.